Thank you. Jen, will you lead us?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. First on the agenda is the approval of the June 10th minutes. Have you all had an opportunity to review those? And if so, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Sue.
Second.
Thank you, Jen. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, public comment. You here for public comment? All right. Moving on. Personnel activity report. Carrie, I guess you're taking this one. Is there anything you need to highlight on here?
No, there's no changes.
Okay. Any discussion on it? All right, seeing none. Sherry, again, I'm gonna have to abstain from voting on this. I do have some family members on the list, so. With that, with no further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye. Oh, we don't.
I move to approve the personnel report.
Sue? Who seconded that? All right, thank you, Heidi. All right, now that we have a motion and a second, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries with one abstention. Non-union contract renewals.
Okay,
Matt.
we have just two names on this list. The two names represent the two non-union administrative employees that did not make the first list, mainly because we were still working out the uniquenesses of their situations. So Joel Danoy, our communications coordinator, would move forward with the same percentage increase as our other administrators did a month ago, 2 months ago, with the caveat that his contract would be a 223 contract instead of a 260-day contract. That is where he should have been originally. That was the advice of our human resource director, Liz English. It was my error in wrongly placing him. So I'd like to remedy that by placing him in the appropriate column that aligns with our other employees. And then Mark Dennehy, activities director, has a resignation date for the end of September, which is kind of flexible. We're keeping Mark in that role as we transition a facilities position. Mark will take over the coordination of all of our facility issues related to activities. So it's still within his activity director job description. It's just a limited scope. It's essential for us as a district to make sure that we're taking care of those issues this summer and into the fall, and not dependent on that happening when Mr. Richer, shows up at the end of August. We will be several weeks into our seasons, so we need that logistics and planning happening this summer.
Questions for Matt? Yep.
Just as communications, I find it interesting to have it not be a full time. I mean, something could happen at any time that was important to the school communicating. Any insight onto why that should be a not full year round position?
We have two positions right now that would fall in that category. It'd be the health wellness suicide prevention specialist that's been renamed to wellness position, and the communication coordinator. Those are 223, aligned with some of our principal contracts are 223, and it's really the month of July. The extra provision, though, that would be in both of those contracts is that in the event the district needs them, they would use them. I intend to have Joel work this July, but I'm not sure about future Julys. This would be the time where that position might not be doing as much planning, doing as much day-to-day operations. But outside of that, it is very much a full-time job. It's just the workload in July is not as much. Yep, good question.
Any other questions from that? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sue. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the non-union renewal list, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is Matt's contract. I'm gonna pass it out. Liz was kind enough to print these off in color for us so that we can review the additions, corrections, changes within the contract. They're all highlighted. Just kind of the highlights for you guys is his compensation starting July 1. And again, this takes it back to a 3-year contract with a 4.11% raise. So a 2% bump on the salary and then a 2.11% COLA to add up to a 4.11% increase. Read it. Okay. Some of the extra things we added in there, we took them from 12 personal leave days to 15 personal leave days, where he can cash out up to 5 personal leave days. And then we also put in severance pay. So, and it's on a, he gets more the longer he stays. So it's an incentive for him to stay longer. So at 3 years, he'll get $5,000. At 5 years, he'll get an additional $5,000. And then at 7+ years, he gets an additional $5,000.
Can I ask a question?
Yep.
Was our previous contract just a 1-year contract, or was it?
No, it was a 3-year contract, but we try and keep a 3-year contract, so we add on a year each year, and it just allows for some stability on Matt's part or the superintendent's part. Jack?
State law maximize. Oh, thank you. State law maximizes it to 3 years at a time, so you can always do that. So at the end of the 1 year, you can extend it by a year and have another 3-year contract. There are districts that if you don't do that, then that's an indication of unhappiness, and the superintendent may be looking elsewhere, and they may do it sooner than later.
Jack and I worked on it here over the last month or so. Went back and forth between him and I wanted to get it on the agenda because he would be working without a contract come July 1. If you wanted to go back before personnel, we could do that. But
No, I
okay,
just like having more time than
yeah, no,
30 seconds to look at.
I totally
So,
understand,
I mean,
Sue. I totally understand, yeah. And I probably should have just sent it out to you guys beforehand to give you an opportunity to review it and digest it a little bit and ask some questions or formulate any questions that you might have had. But don't rush yourself through it. We don't have to rush. Please take an opportunity to review it, and if you have questions, feel free to ask Jack and I.
Yeah, so, oh, sorry, Jack.
The only differences between the contract that we did 15 months ago, which was there was a 3-month contract and then the 12-month contract, is page 3, item 9, personal leave was the increase from 12 to 15. And then the addition, like Scott had said, and then the addition of 5 days may be cashed out. And then the severance pay, that paragraph was not in the original contracts. It is common in the Kalispell's principal contracts. It has different time periods, but it's common in that. So, and it's common with other superintendents around the state also. So the years is different. Ours is extended out more than what the other superintendents are. But there's that. When you look at the compensation, the only input that exists there is whatever the current COLA is. So part A of that was in the initial contracts, and that and part B was in the initial contracts, but that's varied on what the administration receives. So we didn't want to have it be any more than what the administration receives or administrators receive. Other than that, there are no, it's just date changes and everything else, and then just an update on what is pay in page 2, paragraph 6 and paragraph 7. Paragraph 6 was 180, but because of the pay increase, we just made the adjustment to what that new number is, and not then that changes to what the daily rate was, which was 649 or something. I don't remember exactly, but that's just updating it. So the only
So you've just already done the math for July 1st.
yes, that's
And
for
that's
July 1st. Yes.
187.
So the only changes from the original contracts is number 9 with the addition of 3 days, increasing from 12 to 15, 5 days to cash out, and then paragraph 10, the severance pay. Those are the only changes that occurred that impact the fiscal part of this from the prior contracts.
Jack, I just have a quick question on the severance pay. All the numbers are the same. It says not to exceed $15,000. How does that work? Is it like
So
you get?
Well, at the end of 3 years, if he terminates, he's already in his 3rd year, or this will be your
So you
4th
get
year.
you get the 5, and then
He
you
gets
get
the
10,
5,
and
and
you
then
get
after
15.
5 years,
Okay.
he gets another 5.
Okay.
And then after 7 years or 8 years or 10 years, he gets another 5 for a maximum of 15.
Should we
And
have the
is-
word additional in there? You know,
Right. Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is like it seems as though it's 5,000 no matter how many years you've been there. But I see now that it's 3, and then it's 5, and then
Well,
another
because
5,
it's
and
not to
another 5.
exceed 15,000.
Right. I was just making sure. And then severance pay is like only if we terminate his contract, or if he decides.
Well,
to
when
change.
whether
when
we
he
terminate or he terminates, that's what he would be entitled
Either
to.
way.
Yes.
Okay. And that is fairly standard with administrators.
Yeah, for the principals, it's 2,000, it's $2,500 at, and that the word administrative service is used. So a lot of principals have been administrators for a few years before they become a principal. So those years prior to that would be added up. So the first threshold is like
I don't remember if it's 12 years or 15 years. I don't remember which. I'd have to go back and look. So they're there for a long time, and so their severance would be 2,500, and then after, must be 12 years, and then after 15 years, they got another 2,500, and then after, I don't know if it's 17 years, again, I have to go back and look, it's another 2,500. So the dollars are less, but the concept is still the same. Other superintendents and other double A's, it might be 5,000 after 3 years, another 5,000 after 4 years, another 5,000 after 5 years, for example. Or so there's different ranges that we put in. I thought it should be a combination of a thank you and an incentive.
Is the difference between the amount of years for administrators compared to superintendent kind of reflects how many years people typically stay in that position? Or, I mean, if it's 12 for an administrator.
No,
but
because
it's
superintendents might only have a 3-year lifespan.
right. And that's what I'm saying. It's like, is that kind of reflective of how
No.
long superintendent?
No, I didn't.
You look very healthy, Matt.
I suppose that was probably part of the concept, because some of them do have shorter ones, so maybe it was, but to me, you still need to extend it out more. There still needs to be some time involvement in order to get that, and not just have it occur each
Right.
year.
Well, and that's my question, is like, compared to the administrators, it's a short amount of time.
Oh, it's a shorter amount of time. Yes, it's half the time
Mhm.
that it occurs. Because yes, administration, just take Mark Dennehy, for example.
Mhm.
He's been around for a long time. Callie Langer was around for a long time.
Mhm.
And part of that severance incentive was also a thank you for her too. And that's, I don't know that to what degree it existed prior to that.
Mhm.
But that was one of the things that was developed during her time.
The 3, 5, 7 years then, what is that? Is that
I just picked that out of
you
the
just
air.
picked it out of thin air? Okay.
Yeah, Ursula too, we went back and forth with Matt on that. He was comfortable with those years, or that year range. And it's fairly consistent with some of the other superintendents across the state too.
On page 5, part 2
I was wondering about that, though. Should we have in a specific contract with a specific person, this sentence that's about our general policy? You know, the district contribution rate for an administrator who's new to the district is 1%. That's irrelevant to this contract, so I was kind of curious as to why that's in there.
That's just the policy. Well,
Right, but this isn't a description of our
Should the
policies.
policy be in there?
Right, correct.
That's something we can decide on.
What are
I
the
mean,
reasons to do
me, it
so?
was just an easy explanation for it.
Okay.
If
On the severance pay, does it make more sense for it to be like 369 since we're doing 3-year contracts? Then it would be like 3 contract cycles.
Well, no, every year is a contract cycle. So like a year from now, so when we evaluate them in January,
Uh-huh.
we're going to decide.
Any other questions? Reg-
Yeah, say hey into the
Hey.
Any other questions regarding the contract? And if you need a little bit of additional time to continue to review it, just let me know. Okay. Anyone else? Okay, do we have a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Jen.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sue. Any further discussion?
I guess just because we are trying to make the contract in so many ways kind of line up with the administrator contract, I would, and they're just years picked out of the air. I would rather have the years be more like 3, 6, 9 instead of 3, 5, 7, just because the administrator ones don't even start until 12 years. And I understand typically people have been administrators before they become a superintendent. It's kind of like an end of career. I mean, you get to a certain point in your career. But just because already we're setting this precedent of like, we try to match what the administrators have, and there's that pushback of like, well, the administrators already have so much more than the teachers. That's the only place that I'm kind of wondering if it had been discussed already a lot between you and Jack and Matt, like if this was already really like a solid thing that went back and forth on, then I'm not going to push back on it. But if it is just 3 numbers thrown out there, I would prefer if it was slightly longer numbers, just to match that slightly longer number that we have for administrators. Can you give me any feedback on like, was it discussed a lot? Did it go back and forth?
I turned it on. Matt provided examples from other school district superintendents, and they were all shorter periods of time.
Even shorter than that.
Oh, yes. And that's where I looked at those and I go, no, those are, at least in my mind, they're too short. And so I just kind of picked numbers out because they were talking about, one was 3, 4, and 5. I think one was 3. Then I looked at another one. One was 3, 4, and 6, something like that. It was almost like it was too quick. And so I just thought, well, let's go with 3, 5, and 7. So, and Matt accepted that.
It's already longer.
Yeah, and I don't know if I would be comfortable doing the 3, 6, 9, just because of technically the lifespan of a superintendent / city manager. You know, those top positions like that, they say is like a 3-year span.
So apparently I don't look as healthy to Scott.
Huh?
Said apparently I don't look as healthy to Scott as I did up from that side of the table.
Yeah,
That's fair.
I need a mask.
You can see the gray hair, I guess.
So just one tidbit is on the first page where it says the word in the fourth paragraph where it says second. So every year that will increase, second, third, fourth, fifth, as far as successive contracts go.
Are you good, Ursula? Or? Okay. Any further discussion?
Just overall, I do think we should try to attract superintendents for longer than 3 years. I don't think 3 years is really best for the stability of the district overall. I don't, I'm fine with these numbers somewhat because the numbers are so low. I mean, that's a week's salary, or 8 days salary. When you cash out of a business thing, it's like a $40,000 thing. So you're really like, yes, I'm going to work that extra year or two. I don't think an extra 5,000 is enough to say to me, I'm miserable in my job, and not hopefully that you're ever miserable in your job, that I'm willing to work. So it's to me, this is more of a thank you than an incentive.
Thanks, Rebecca. And I agree with you 100% that it should be the intent of the board to keep a superintendent longer than 3 years. I think we have a pretty good track record of doing that as well, except for Micah. Good riddance. But I also, that's why I like these years that are on here for the severance pay. It does give an incentive for them to want to stay a little bit longer.
And I think this is an issue that we should probably discuss in the personnel committee, because I think there are some other options. I don't know if they're available to like public schools, but I know there's some things we do to keep employees longer and provide incentives, like tax breaks on, the severance pay. I mean, it's essentially an annuity, but I think there are some things that might be very enticing that we could consider. Yeah, in the future.
Since we do the evaluation in January, I would hope that next year, there's just a lot of coordination issues between Scott and I and making it work. And formatting issues for that matter, but to me, we should be, well, I would hope that we're doing this in March of next year.
I agree, Jack. I agree. Any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the renewal, Matt's contract for the 25-26 school year, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the
First off, thank you. I love my job, and I love my job here in this district. So I just want to put that out there. A lot of people have to choose between doing the job they love and living the place where they want to live, and I get the benefit of having both. So I appreciate it. I'm really encouraged by the work we're doing in this district, and I am committed to longer than 3 years and feeling pretty healthy about it.
and looking healthy. Next up would be the school bus transportation contracts. Chris, you taking that?
Right. I think we talked last meeting about the school bus contracts that we're in the process on renewing. State law requires that if a contract renewal for buses, specifically transportation to students, is above 12%, that you'd have to go out to bid. So we did end up going out to bid for one of the route packages that Harlow's had been and has serviced this year. Turns out Harlow's came in as the winning bidder. So that renewal though came in lower, primarily because originally they countered our proposal at around 34%, which was pretty aggressive. We pulled one of our most expensive routes out of their route package, and that dropped the annual increase down to about 7% for them. So details are all there. The renewals are all different for each of the contractors because there wasn't really a standardized way in which their fixed costs and their variable costs were calculated. And so now we've just applied an equal formula for how we compile that. And I would expect that going forward, we'd see comparable raises for each of the carriers. So highest is Treasure State at 11%, 11.6, and Stevens Busing in at 3%. Any questions?
So Chris, what happened to that the more expensive route that was pulled? what happened to it. So I don't oversee Laura in transportation, so I'm not 100% up to speed on what their plans are, but the plan is, I believe, to either add or or transfer an employee into a driving role for that route. I believe we have enough buses, but so we won't need to purchase, and estimate around about $100,000 of savings by bringing that route in-house. So
We did post that driver position, but I think we'll be transferring an existing employee into that route, but hiring the replacement for that. Have been gearing up to add drivers to our fleet. It makes more sense for us to be the head, not the tail on a lot of those relationships. So
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion? Thank you, Heidi.
I'll second.
Thank you, Sue.
Sorry, who made the motion?
Heidi did. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the new bus contract, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Chris, the PayPal account for the Heart Locker.
yeah, so I think Walmart's been a pretty good partner for the Heart Locker and supporting them with fundraising initiatives. Walmart has moved exclusively to processing funds via PayPal for donations that they're making. And so in order to continue that relationship and hopefully grow it somewhat, we're looking to just open this account exclusively for them with the Heart Locker and Walmart. So
No fiscal note for us on that.
fiscal note, as far as what they're donating or,
Cost us anything?
oh, no, the PayPal accounts are free. There is fees when you transfer money out of them, but they're pretty nominal, just like most of the credit cards or payment processing systems we currently use.
I'm entertained that both Jason and Eric
Yeah.
are here tonight. So does that mean you're here because PayPal will be a headache?
Sorry, I missed that bit. See, maybe it's good I did. Yeah. The account opening just is required that the board approves. So we just can't go start opening accounts and stowing money away that nobody knows anything about.
All right. Any other questions for staff? All right, do we have a motion? Thank you, Ursula. Thank you, Jack, for the second. Any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is renewal of misslip. Chris, you taking that too, or?
Yeah. So it's just our property and casualty insurance. It's a big number, $756,000 is our renewal this year. That is just an increase of $5,000 from the current year. So on that front, it was a very modest, virtually unchanged rate. However, I would say that I would expect some larger increases going forward as our losses have stacked up over the past couple of years. And they look at like a 5-year run typically and average those years together when determining your premium. So I'm good renewal this year, but I would brace for some steeper increases in years to come.
Ursula?
They used to feed us lunch while they told us all these awful numbers. What happened to our $1 million lunch?
Did you enjoy the lunches and the conversation? I don't know.
They used to buy us lunch.
I think they would still be willing to if you guys
Make them
requested
buy
it.
us lunch.
Yeah.
It's the least they can do. Tell them we want lunch.
Jack?
What other kind of pricing came in for this? Because Kim Thomas can represent a number of other places, and how did that work out?
So Kim only submitted, there was no MSGIA, which is really the only two shows in town typically. I mean, for schools currently. We are with MSGIA for our work comp and under contract with these guys for the property and casualty. So I think we are in our third year with work comp. So we'll probably do a comprehensive call for bid.
For work comp, okay.
Yeah.
I just have heartburn with something that's under MTSB.
Mm.
I was gonna say, what's your issue with Sue?
It's not with Sue. She knows who it's with.
I love that there's a real name.
Do you have a question?
Yes, I didn't get a chance to scan this thoroughly, but does this include cyber? Like any cyber? Okay.
It has property, boiler, machinery, automobile, general liability, school board liability, and employment practices liability, non-monetary defense, not sure what that is, crime and fidelity, cyber, disaster management, active assailant, employee and trustee, business travel, and student school to work accident. So
So nice to have a lawyer on that. Thank you.
no, it's more than just a property coverage. I mean, it's a property, general liability, director and officer type package. So it's actually a pretty complete package, just from the
Yep. Thank you.
thumbnail sketch here.
So I can remember when we were only paying 300,000, but we also have.
Not speaking to the price gappers.
Oh, I know, but we've also doubled the value of all the buildings along the way. So that's the big liability issue is construction costs now. And yes, there's other activity liabilities, but the biggest thing is just the property values.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion? Thank you, Jack. Second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Linda. Any further discussion? Yeah, Rebecca?
Just to add to our list, no, it's not that they have to pay us lunch, but I did find it useful to once a year meet with them and really hear from them how our policies have changed, because there often were things that were surprising, and like coverage of a student being driven to a school activity, but it's extracurricular. I mean, there are just a lot of little weird things about where coverage is and isn't, and especially if we have switched people we're working with, I do think a yearly check-in is a nice thing. You don't have to buy us lunch.
And on that front, on that front, I mean, I don't know necessarily that we as a board need to be involved in that yearly check-in, so long as the administrators are privy to all of the coverages within the policy. So say the boiler goes at Hedges, they know, gosh, there's actually coverage here for some amount of that, right? I mean, or flood or this or that. So that'd be more.
They
my preference.
invited the whole board, not all of us went.
Oh, okay. Well,
I think it was usually about 3 or 4 of us each year.
if we want to go, sure, right? Yeah. Okay.
One concern I have is I'm looking at the MASDA approved attorney contacts. There is not an attorney on here, a local attorney. So that's just a concern
Yeah, let me look.
of mine.
I nominate Jen.
I mean, so my 2 cents, I'm looking at this list. I know of 2 people on here that I know well that I would absolutely trust with anything we have. There are local attorneys that would be able to do this type of work here. But I mean, I've also found that just because they're approved attorneys, when you work with most insurance companies, if you do have a preferred attorney and it's justified and they can get within the rate you want, sometimes there's some flexibility there. Yeah. So.
Nope, appreciate the comments on that.
Sue, you should know Jeff Weldon and Elizabeth. Sue, you know Jeff Weldon and Elizabeth.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as local attorneys, you just,
Yeah, I disagree, Jack. I think there's people locally that could do a perfect job in this. And I know that they could because they do it in the context of city defense and county defense and others. And we're not that unique from that. So but we don't need to get into it.
yeah, John can do it too.
I wouldn't, no. I'm like, no, I've got a short list if we need it. I think there's
All
been a
right.
motion in a second.
Yes,
Is
there
there any
has.
more?
Is there any other discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the appointment of the high school trustee for the Lakeside Summers District. I do have her letter if anyone would like to review it. We interviewed Carrie Eklund yesterday. Will, Jen, and I had a great conversation with her. She's very experienced. She was a teacher down in Big Fork for a few years. She was on the Summers Lakeside School Board for 3 years. She's well rooted in the valley. I think she's got great knowledge down in that Lakeside Summers. She did admit that she has some work to do in Kyla, which it'll be good for her, I think, with her background to go out and meet with those folks. Do you guys want a copy of her letter? Okay. There you go. Jen, Will, do you guys have anything to add to that?
Sure. Yeah, by way of brief background, she was born and raised around Chicago, Illinois, went to a state magnet high school, got to do a Yellowstone wolf study in high school, which is where she fell in love with Montana and a Montanan. She ended up, after going through the post-college, she went to Tulane. And then after post-college stuff, she and her husband wanted to come out to Montana, got a teaching job out here. She got her master's in education from MSU, math science curriculum. And now she's back in private industry, working remotely from home in that math science, type, like cell culture type industry, pharmaceutical type stuff. And she gets to work from home. And seems like she seems very smart, and she also has a good experience as a trustee on the Summers Lakeside Board. Seemed to have a really good grasp of fundamentally what a school board does and what we as trustees do. The scope of our authority and the scope of our individual authority as well. And she seemed to really have a good grasp on that. And she was also very well versed in all the things that are happening on the statewide scale with the profile of a graduate, things like that. And really, I don't know, I was impressed by her, and I think she'd be a great addition to our board.
Will, you got anything to add?
I would just second everything that Scott and Jen said. To add that I was also very impressed by her, and I have the feeling that she'll step into this role and handle it from the get-go.
Any questions from the board for the three of us? Or Matt? Matt was sitting in on it too. Okay. So the recommendation from that committee is to move Carrie forward as the next trustee for that Lakeside Summers Kyla area.
I do have one question. Is she going to fill the 3-year term, or are we just doing it for one like we did?
So
Because there's like an option. Like
No.
I thought it was kind of vague.
No, she has to step in for the year that she gets appointed.
Okay.
And then she
And then she'll
can
run
pick
next
up
year.
from there. She has
Okay.
to run. Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
So if there's no other questions, do we have a motion? Thank you, Will.
I'll second.
Jennifer, second at that? Okay, any further discussion? All right, seeing, did I misstate that, Chris, or we good?
Just as a point of clarity though, the cycles of those of trustee elections are meant to stagger each other. So she would accept the position for 1 year, and then she would file as a candidate, with anybody else who wanted to file, and that would fulfill the remaining 2 years to keep the 3-year cycle. Yeah, that's probably what you said, but that's
Yeah, well.
Not
Well,
exactly, but you got it, Matt. You got it.
well said, Matt. I
Well said, Matt.
appreciate the clarification on that.
I was not a running man for you, sorry.
Well,
Yeah, as a point for that, when she ran for the Summers position, I think she said she had 7 other people running for that position.
Oh, wow.
And she,
yeah, thanks for that. All right, any further discussion? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving Carrie Eklund as the Summers Lakeside Kyla High School trustee, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the policy updates. Matt?
Okay, 2 policies, second reading, so this will be the final reading. The first policy here would be the 1310. Policy is listed to update the language, which would allow us to make non-substantive changes to policies without taking them to a reading. Directly related to policy 5012, which is the change that would be highlighted if we change policy 1310, because we need to update that policy to list Ms. Brady as the point of contact.
Questions? All right, that's just second reading, so
It's final reading though. So-
But 1310 is the second and final reading.
so we
Is that what
do.
it says?
Yeah, both of them would be move to approve. Both of them would be independent votes.
Yep.
But both of them are final reading.
So let's
Including 5012.
Yes.
Okay. That-
Sorry, I explained them both together, but they are separate action items, separate agenda items.
The one says that we can change it, the other one does change it.
Yeah.
It's pretty much the summary.
So why are we approving it on second reading?
Because we can approve those policies after the second reading.
any further questions for staff?
The only one is the MTSBA sent out like 20 policies that come in July 1st, really soon. And some of them do fall into the, I mean, some of them are a little more if thens, kind of situation. How close are we to being ready to put those in when we need to?
You can expect the required policies to come in August. And so there's kind of 3 buckets. It's a required policy that we can not like it, but we need to adopt it because it's law. And then there's recommended, and recommended are, I think for a reason MTSB puts a lot of thought into, and they're trying to protect school boards. And so they make recommendations. This isn't a law, but this is in the best interest of the district. And then there's optional policies. I say that those recommended and optional policies don't have the urgency that something in statute would change from a required policy. But the required policies could come in August, and then the rest of them, I think, take a little bit more thought to work through. We've also talked as an administrative team of reviewing other policies from the last legislative session to make sure that we're just having a very clean policy manual. So that will take a little bit more time, but the required policies in August.
Could the required policies from this last legislative session go in less than 2 weeks on July 1st, don't they?
Yeah, they're
But we
gonna.
could still not put them into policy till August because we have no students or fewer students around the.
Yeah, that's just the normal timeline of MTSB. Will put out the policy updates, the recommended policy updates, and then that'll be the timeline for processing them through the board.
Any other questions? All right, seeing none, do we have a motion to approve policy 1310? Jack made the motion. Okay, Jack made the motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Sue. Any further discussion on policy 1310? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving policy 1310, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, any further discussion on policy 5012? Thank you, Rebecca.
Second.
Thank you, Sue. Any further discussion on 5012? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving policy 5012, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the sexual harassment in the workplace.
Oh, that was the policy. We're back to
That's-
consent agenda.
Just seeing if you guys are paying attention.
Fantastic.
Nicely done. Consent agenda, elementary only. Elementary trustees, have you had an opportunity to review that?
Move to approve.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you, Jen, for the second. Any further discussion? All right, elementary only. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up is the district-wide consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Jen.
I'll second.
Thank you, Linda.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Next up, Doris Mountain, starting tomorrow. Is 8:30 the start time, or do we need to arrive?
8:30 is breakfast, 9 o'clock is the welcome.
Thank you, Jen.
Gotcha.
Okay, so
Is it in the auditorium?
love to see you guys if you have the opportunity to come. If not, you'll miss out.
There's 274 people registered.
And where is it?
The breakfast will be out in the commons area, and then the first opening will be in the auditorium.
I did go to the first Doris Mountain, so it was amazing. And it's really enlightening. And it's just, you have time. It's great to see the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, and correct me if I'm wrong on the numbers, but the first summit last year, 150 attendees, and we're up 120 just between last year and this year. So a lot of great momentum going on with the summit, and also with what our district is doing and what people across the state want to see what we're doing within our district for PCBE. And so it's a great highlight for our district and show what leaders we are across the state in that.
Yeah, it's interesting. We have quite a few teachers leading breakout sessions and stuff, so it's pretty cool to get them to showcase what they've been doing. So it's awesome. Yeah.
Do you have any data around who, like where they're coming from?
Yeah, actually, I don't have it compiled to present, but it's across the state, and there's pretty evenly split between teachers that are K-5 teachers, if you put them in one kind of column, and then you put 6 through 12 teachers. That's pretty much 50-50 and these are rough numbers, but I'd say 80% of attendees being teachers and 20% being other. So administrators or other groups. Yeah.
Since it is in the auditorium, will it be on our YouTube channel?
No, but the auditorium is for the keynotes and the welcomes and the kind of where we come back together. And then we have breakout sessions happening all across the campus. And those breakout sessions range in size from like 20 people to maybe 50 people. And we're just an amazing group of options for those breakout sessions. So you have things that apply to people that are just new and they're just being introduced into these concepts. And you have other ones that go pretty deep into, pretty detailed work that's happening at different grade levels. So, and like Jen said, it's really fun to see our teachers hosting and presenting some of those breakout sessions. And we have presenters from across the country that we've made relationships with over the last couple of years. It's fun to come together and for a bunch of educators to come together and talk about what we love to talk about, just teaching and learning. Relationships should be a lot of fun.
Were other boards invited too? Just curious.
I don't know. That's a good question. I know we reached out to the superintendents of all the districts, but I personally did not reach out to other boards. That's a good idea.
That'll make it grow to 350 the third year. Good suggestions. We like that.
Yeah.
And early educators.
I think a lot of that group has been invited, and
It's so hard though.
Yeah.
When you do it on a Wednesday, Thursday.
I know.
You can't get away.
you're working.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then notice that our next regular scheduled board meeting is July 22nd. So we're only going to have one board meeting in July. So that first one will be canceled. July 22nd. Yeah. And would also like to shout out, this is Liz's last meeting. Liz, sad face. Liz, we have appreciated having you. Appreciate all the hard work you put in. You will be missed, but you have done a great job of training Carrie. I've been up and seen the show. She's already pushed you out of the office. And so good luck. And Kyla, reach out to Carrie Eklund and see how we can partner better. So would you like to say anything on your last meeting?
No, because I was apparently crying left and right. No, I really appreciate it.
I've really appreciated all of you guys. And I'm not going to make this long, but it's pretty neat to see where the district is going, and it's sad to leave a district that's propelling itself forward. But yeah, you guys should be proud of the direction that you're allowing the administration to kind of vision and go, and that's something to be commendable. Also, you should also be really excited for Carrie. So Carrie's going to do great, and you had a good hire there. So thank you.
Yeah, and we appreciate you being willing to come in a month early and cross-train with Liz and get your feet wet and get all that figured out. There's a lot to go on within our district, probably being the second largest employer in the county. So lot to do, lot to know. And so appreciate you coming in and stepping up. And again, Liz, appreciate you taking on that responsibility of helping train her, getting her up to speed for when you're pushed totally out of the nest. With that, unless no one else has anything, we'll take a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Thank you, Sue.
Second.
Who seconded? Thank you, Heidi. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, everybody.